Hello everyone, I'm Terry Candlestick and welcome back to the channel. Last time on Echo, Chase had just climbed up to the corpse of what we're assuming to be John Begay to get that letter out of its mouth and got a good chunk of the, well, got a sample of the conversation between what we're assuming is John Begay and James Hendricks. So now we can continue and see how this will progress. I do believe that we're getting close to one of the, well, Chase's endings. At least one of them. I'm 9 or 10, and I'm sitting under a tree in the forest. I feel like the feeling you get when you finish crying. The stuffed up nose and throbbing in my head, along with the feeling of having just run 10 miles. Like I've just finished something really hard and now it's over. And then, a creak in the branches above me. Nice sound effects. I look up and see the fox, hanging from a rope. His dead eyes are on me. Creepy.
Why don't you get your ass up there and dig it out yourself then?
He's awake.
Chase?
A big hand is cradled below my head as I stare at the horns waving above my eyes. Between them hangs the fox.
Hey, you okay? What happened?
I don't know. There were eyes? I stare harder at the fox, but the eyes are closed.
Yeah, me too. But you sorta just fell back. Sorry, I dropped you and I think you hit your head.
That would explain the headache. My head throbs with each heartbeat. Why didn't you grab the letter, Chase?
Are you kidding me?
I flinch at Carl's loud voice and the spit that flecks my face.
He just passed out, and that thing had something to do with it. Like I said, dig it out of the fucking mouth if you want to.
Dig what out? I crane my head painfully to look at Jenna. She stands in the exact same spot, staring stoically. Raven has moved to stand next to her, but now his eyes are wide, staring at the fox. That poor traumatized husky. I turn my head back around toward the hanging fox, and that's when I see the letter is gone. Where did it go? I push myself up, cringing as I once again forget about my ankle. Carl hurriedly fusses around me, helping me stand. I keep my eyes on the fox the entire time, but I don't see any signs of life. What happened?
You fell.
No, the fox. What happened to the letter? He ate it.
What? How? It just sort of gobbled it up.
Carl's free hand gestures at his mouth. God. I lean my forehead against the ram's cheek as I close my eyes. So, we are not supposed to read it? Raven's voice is small and quiet, nothing like his usual self, even during the time we've spent here. No one says anything for a while. I clear my throat. I think I heard John and James while I was out.
What? What did they say?
I think John and James. They're influencing some of this, but there's something else controlling all of it. How? I don't know. But it's stopping them from telling us what they want to say. Like it's a game for it. I feel Carl shake his head against my head.
So, what are we supposed to do?
Just figure out the game, I guess. They said something about having to see the truth, but I'm not exactly sure of what that is.
But the fox just ate our clue.
That might have been one of them. James or John, I don't know.
Do we just find another one then?
I don't say anything because that's when I see the hint of white sticking out from the fox's pocket. I point. What's that?
What?
That, sticking out of the chest pocket.
Huh?
Carl moves a little closer, pulling me along tentatively. Carl calls anxiously from behind us.
What are you guys doing?
Carl's voice gets tighter, more nervous as he reaches out with a shaky hand. I keep my eyes focused on the pocket, not wanting to look into those eyes if they're open again. Carl touches the chest, yanking back his hand once before slowly going in again. His face turns towards mine, cringing as he tries to look and not look at the same time. He fumbles at the pocket for a moment, the fox swings just slightly from the ram's poking fingers. Finally, after what seems like several eternities, Carl manages to get a grip on the note. Once he does, he yanks his hand back, almost hitting the fox's muzzle as he slides the letter free from the pocket.
Okay, let's go.
Carl gently but quickly guides me down the stairs. Jenna eyes what's in Carl's hand suspiciously. What's that?
Another letter or something.
Where did you get that? The fox ate it earlier. I saw it sticking out of the pocket. I guess there was another one. Jenna goes quiet and her expression darkens. I'm about to ask her what's wrong, but Carl's already unfolded the paper, swinging the hand, holding it to try and make it unfold. I help him out with my own free hand and hold the letter between us. I notice that the bottom of the paper has a rough tear, like somebody has torn it in half. Jenna and Raven move in closer opposite us.
Please, let this be the one that gets us back.
I don't like this. It doesn't look like a letter. In fact, it looks like a newspaper clipping. Well, a photocopied one anyway. Carl, I think this came from your mom's collection of artifacts. I remember some pages were ripped out of the scrapbooks.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was you taking them.
Nope.
I wonder how long ago this nightmare actually started. It seems that it had been setting itself up days before we fell into this place. Well, guess I'll give it a read. Hopefully this is the one. I start with the big bold title. Echo Researcher Uncovers Town's Serial Killer Past. Most might know Trisha Hendricks as the CEO of Hin's Ice Cream, but Echo's locals will know her to be an avid history buff as well. I just love how it connects all of us, how it shows that everything has happened for a reason. But even she didn't realize what her research would uncover. According to Hendricks, the town's founder, James had an affair with another man, and both may have been hiding a dark secret. You never know what you'll find out, but to think that James had a homosexual relationship and with an alleged serial killer, well, it's really something. According to Hendricks' research, James may have been in a romantic relationship with a native fox by the name of John Begay. Town records indicate that Begay was accused of committing multiple child murders. Hendricks says the crimes were sexual in nature. I reach the bottom of the page where the rough tear begins. Clearly, there's no more to the article, but...
Jenna!
I look up just in time to see a flash of steel before Carl jumps back, pulling me along with him. The knife comes within inches of Carl's face before piercing into the newspaper clipping we were holding with a smack.
What the hell?
Jenna! I'm about to ask what she's doing because I think she's attacking the newspaper for some reason. But her intentions become clear as she moves toward us with the knife, eyes set on Carl.
Gina, stop!
Raven bounces up and down, his hands pulling at his ears. Carl moves back as fast as he can while I limp along.
Jenna, what are you doing?
Jenna lunges at us, the knife arcing down from above again. This time she's too close and Carl pushes me to the side as he jumps back. I go down on my butt on the rocky ground.
Putrid lying beast! Where's my letter?
I don't know. What did I do?
Carl's sputtering, stumbling, eyes wide with terror. I don't even know if he's going to defend himself when Jenna gets to him. With a muffled scream, I push myself on to my feet and hobble after them, each step sending electric lances of pain to the back of my brain. I don't have to dwell on it, though, because that's when Jenna reaches Carl. She grabs one of his horns and yanks him close, Carl swinging his fist wildly in her direction. It's a valiant effort, but Carl's not a fighter, and aside from letting out a few grunts, Jenna isn't affected. She raises the knife just as I reach them.
No, stop!
Okay, the big decision. Let's go for trying to grab Jenna so she doesn't stab Carl. Try to grab her hand or something. I need to pull her away from Carl. I reach out, grabbing the fox by the back of her shirt, yanking as hard as I can. Oh, Chase, you should have gone for the arm, man.
You should have gone for the head.
Jenna falls back and unexpectedly turns into me as she does. A deep, penetrating bolt of pain goes into my chest. I gasp like I've jumped into a pool of ice-cold water. This music is very fitting. I can't help it. It's like a reflex. And with the gasp comes a violent change of light and scenery, and suddenly, I'm in darkness. Not complete darkness, though, because the moon shines down on us. The pain in my chest gives a few deep throbs before Jenna yanks the knife out of my chest.
Chase!
Carl screams my name as I go to my knees, both hands pressed to my chest.
Chase! Chase!
I hear Carl stumbling around as Jenna turns back around toward the ram. I look up to Carl, trying to ask for help, tasting blood in my mouth, but Carl isn't looking at me. He's stumbling around, looking everywhere except for where I am at the same time trying to dodge Jenna.
Where is he?
I raise my hand, trying to show him. Maybe it's too dark. At that moment, Raven, almost invisible in the darkness, tackles Jenna to the ground.
Stop it! Stop this! This is crazy! Please just stop!
He pins her easily.
Chase!
I force myself to stand up, panicking now. The throbbing in my chest is different, odd. Something deep inside me has been hit. Help me. I stumble toward Carl, but he moves further away from me.
Chase!
He's crying now, but he can't see me. I look behind him, seeing the few lights of Echo. All of the normal buildings under the moonlight. I'm back, but I'm dying, and Carl can't see me. I need to get help. I stumble toward the hill, shakily trying to climb up the incline of rocks and dirt. My shirt is soaked and it clings to my body like a second skin. Each pulse of my heart sends a wave of warmth over my chest and stomach. If I can get to Carl's house, I can call someone. I get to the top of the slope, onto the actual road. There's a pop in the distance. A gunshot?
Did you stab him? Raven, there's blood on the knife. Oh my god!
Carl's screams make me want to turn back around. But if I can only get to the house, get a phone, call for help for me and my friends. But everything's getting hazy. My legs are like lead. I can't even feel my ankle anymore. My ears seem to clog up and my breathing slows down. All I can hear is my heartbeat in my ears. And my breathing, and both are getting weaker. Darkness creeps in on the edge of my vision. Something lays on the road in front of me. My legs give out as I pass it. Slumped on my knees, I look at it and see a weasel. Duke? I can't tell because most of his face is missing, and there's a little plastic thing stuck in the bloody mess. I don't really care though. Everything feels peaceful for once. Quiet and peaceful. I stare down at my chest, watching its blood pumps out with each heartbeat, staining all the way down to my knees now. The tunnel gets tighter. I sway. I fall. Into nothing. Okay. I guess it's what you call a bad ending. So, there's that. Wow. Just crazy. Jenna going wild. Where's my letter? So, definitely she's possessed by something. Somebody. And, you know, it's my letter. Where's my letter? Is it John Begay? It was sticking out of his mouth? That's what I think what everyone believes. It's John Begay. But it could be James, and it could just be that thing. So no one's really sure. But what is for certain, though, is in this ending, Chase is dead. And something is definitely possessing Jenna. We've seen all the hints, but then it's like, here's the facade goes away. The mask comes off. Best I can. So let me jump back into the game. And we'll get back to the point where we have the choice. And we'll start on the good ending. But still, good job Chaser is grabbing her shirt instead of like the arm, the hand holding the knife. Great power move there, dude. Welcome back, everyone. We are back at the moment where Chase takes action. So we could grab Jenna again. Let's kill Chase again. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's push Jenna. I'm kind of thinking here, if we push Jenna, that she would, you know, it would just help accelerate the knife into Carl. But it might not be the case, so let's see what happens. I already know what happens, but that was my first reasoning when I played this was don't push Jenna. That's going to put the knife into Carl. Grab Jenna and try to get her away. Maybe she won't, you know, stab you. But that's exactly what happened as we saw. She spun around and just punched it right into his chest. So now we're going to push Jenna. I light tap on the boat. Carl, watch out! I yell as loud as I can before giving the fox the hardest shove I can. I do it at an angle so she doesn't directly hit Carl. Oh, now he's smart. Good job, Chase. Carl leaps to the side as I slam into her, sending Jenna forward to faceplant into the rocks and dirt. Ooh. I reach out to Carl just as Raven goes blurring past me. He leaps onto Jenna, pinning her down.
Go! Just go! We'll figure something out later, but you need to get away now! Carl!
Raven's snarling as he tries to keep Jenna pinned, something that doesn't match his cheerful face at all. Carl stumbles to his feet, then turns and starts jogging away.
Carl, wait! Help me up!
Carl seems to hesitate before finally turning around, leaning over to help pick me up. And with that, we limp away toward the road. I think we're heading toward the mansion again, but Carl turns us toward the road to the town instead. The growls and snarls get fainter behind us, and I start to worry about what's going to happen to Raven. Hopefully, Jenna just stops once Carl's out of sight. He seems to be the only thing she's interested in right now. Carl breathes raggedly in my ear over the sound of his stumbling clops and my dragging shuffles.
Carl, do you want to go back to your house instead?
Carl doesn't respond, and I look over to him to see him staring straight ahead, eyes fixed on nothing. Carl? He gives his head a little shake, so I go back to staring at my own feet. My ankle is numb at this point, which I guess is better than the lancing pain I had earlier. We're further down the road now, to the point where I can't hear Jenna or Raven anymore. Going this way might have been a good idea, since Jenna will probably end up going back to the mansion. Does she just need time to cool down? And where are we supposed to go now? I'm starting to realize that what just happened is going to affect everything. How are we even going to be near each other now? Jenna just tried to kill Carl. Jenna. Or John. I feel a sudden burst of anger towards him. A fucking serial killer possessing her, forcing her to do this shit. Carl's breathing is getting more ragged. I look over to him again. I'm not really surprised to see the tracks of tears down his face. Carl, do you need to sit down a second? Take a rest? A few seconds later, Carl stops abruptly next to a small boulder, and I allow myself to be sat down on it. The ram doesn't sit down with me, though. Instead, he starts pacing back and forth in front of me, occasionally wiping his face with his arm. Carl? Carl, sit down.
I don't know what to do, Chase.
Neither do I. Just sit down for a second.
No. I don't know if we'll ever be able to get out of here.
Carl sobs and goes into a coughing fit. No. Come on. We're doing good. We're at least getting somewhere.
Where? This could go on forever. You don't know.
I look up at the ram, trying to think of something comforting to say.
Chase, I can't do this. I need a second.
Carl turns and starts walking toward further down the road. Carl, wait, we shouldn't split up. Hang on. I stand unsteadily, leaning over to rest a hand on the rock as I watch Carl continue his trek down the road toward the town.
Just wait. I need a moment. I'll be back.
Carl! I feel myself start to panic as I stumble after him. I realize that not only am I afraid for Carl, for what might happen to him if he runs off into this fake world, but I'm also afraid of being alone here without Carl. I howl after him, but I realize immediately that I'm not going to catch up. I watch him get further and further away, down the middle of the road. I wheeze, clutching my chest as I try to keep up, the sides of my vision starting to turn white. I'm not sure what it is, the panic, my breathlessness, or the world itself, but the whiteness seems to pulse from the faint sobs of the ram in front of me. Slowly, the white takes over, and I'm in a fog. There's a distant, rhythmic pounding that sounds like a gong. Where have I heard it before? I feel a twinge of worry in my chest that I'm going to be late for my next class. Class. Oh yeah, school. That's the clock tower that chimes every hour. Freezing cold leaks through my fur and stings at my nose. I bring my hands up to rub at my shoulders, shivering. The ground is covered in snow, even though it never snows here. At least, not this much. We had a flurry once a few years ago, and even that was a surprise. But here it is, piled up on the ground. My mind is still catching up to me, feeling as if I've woken up in a dream. Fuck. What happened? Carl. I was chasing after Carl on the road. It all comes back to me slowly. I was going after Carl after Jenna tried to... I hear clopping ahead of me. My head snaps up, looking into the fog, unable to see clearly through it. Hello? Carl? My voice echoes into the emptiness of the university. Pueblo University. It feels like I haven't been here in months rather than just a week. I rub my shoulders again before padding up slowly to one of the buildings. The pain in my ankle is now a dull, throbbing feeling, almost like it's dead. That doesn't seem like a good thing, but at least I can walk. Kinda eerie music. Kinda fitting after everything that's happened. It's just that I have to limp, feeling like I'm walking with a giant log instead of a leg. I focus on the building in front of me. I don't remember this one. In fact, I don't really remember any of them. The buildings are different shapes, just built with the same materials and colors of the buildings at the university. I reach out, grasping at the handle. It's locked. I stare at the door for a while, unsure of what to do. More distant clopping up the sidewalk gets my attention, so I start moving in that direction again. Carl? I call out more softly now because I'm starting to feel afraid of where I am. While I can't see anyone, the fur on my neck is prickling, like I'm somehow extremely vulnerable. I guess the only thing I know for sure about this ordeal is that nothing is as it seems, and for some reason I don't feel like I'm in a safe place.
You weren't never there for me, you know.
I jump. Carl? The only response is silence. At least it sounded like Carl. Kind of. It was crackly and muffled, like it was coming through a phone. I start to jog up the sidewalk, and I notice that I'm stepping through the snow like it's not really there either.
We're not gonna hurt ya.
The voice comes right over my shoulder, and I cringe and let out a yelp, stumbling in my run to turn and face whatever just whispered into my ear. I stare at nothing. It had that same crackly mechanical sound to it. My fur is standing up all over my body, and I rub at my shoulders again, hugging my chest. A soft sound, maybe a footstep, behind me makes me whirl around in the other direction to find more emptiness. I stifle a whine and start trotting up the sidewalk again. This place is different. Something about this place is dangerous. It's unlike the mansion, or the cabin, or even being next to that hanging guy. Something could hurt me here. I don't know how I know, but I know it. Carl? My voice is getting more desperate. I've never felt more alone. Right now, more than anything, I just want to find Carl.
You want me to be there for you?
I jump, but keep jogging, basically hopping with the way my leg isn't working at all.
That's funny.
The sidewalk starts to curve and I come up on the school's pond. I whisper to myself, "Fuck, where are you?" As I keep walking, the ground no longer feels smooth. Instead, I feel little pointed bits of rock sticking to my footpads, even though there's smooth pavement when I look down at the ground. I pass a stone bench, the one that Carl liked to sit on back when he was at school with me that first semester.
I just can't, man. I wish I could, but every stupid fucking thing I say is so stupid.
Trust me, man, it's not. I lift my hands up to my throat, shocked because I definitely didn't say that. My voice is coming through like the others, muffled, distant, but from the direction of the bench.
You don't understand. It's like I can't stop going over what I say to people. Then I just worry about it for days after.
Well, just don't. Just forget about it.
Right.
Seriously, man. No one cares. Just don't worry about it, okay?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I turn around, moving back the way I came, not wanting to hear those voices from the bench. I went back to where I was and look around. The sidewalk branches off in several different directions, and I have no idea which one to take.
You weren't there for me.
What? I stand there a moment, feeling the panic starting to rise. What's the matter, Cartface? We're not gonna hurt ya. That's not Carl. That's not me. I'm hearing things. I close my eyes, hugging my chest again, stilling my breathing. Softer clopping sounds come from my left. I open my eyes and immediately move in that direction. Hey, we're just playing. I grit my teeth and mumble to myself. I was a kid. What was I supposed to do? There's no response as I keep moving. A loud pop makes me jump and cover my head. What the hell was that? Was that a gunshot? I crouch on the sidewalk, looking left and right, but not seeing anyone. Was someone shooting at me? It had to be kind of far away. Whatever it was, just sitting here probably isn't going to help me. So I start moving again, a little faster, half bent over. To my left, I see the football stadium rising up into the fog. I'd gone there for a few games and a dance that they held on the field for homecoming.
Dude, I'm not feeling very good. Wanna go back and play something?
Come on. I told you not to be like this.
Can't really help it, man.
Just tough it out for another hour.
No, man. I'm gonna head back.
Alright there.
Right later.
I keep going, whispering to myself, to Carl. Is that you, Carl? Can you actually hear me? No response. I keep going, listening for claps. When I hear them, I follow. After what seems like about 10 minutes, I come up to a smaller building, one that the path leads directly into. I slow my pace as I come up to it, staring at the door. I listen for a while, but there ain't any more claps. Aren't any more claps. Hey. I reach out and rest my hand on the handle, then give a slight pull, expecting it to be locked, but it inches open smoothly. Staring for a while longer, I finally pull the door open and find our old dorm room. Like most things in this nightmare, it isn't exactly the same. Actually, it's probably about 3 times longer, like it's the interior of a stretch limo or something. At the very end of it, I see Carl splayed out on one of the beds. It doesn't have a mattress in it, so he's just laying on the flat board. Slowly, I hobble over to him. He's staring up at the ceiling, and I'm kind of surprised to see a slight smile on his face. Hey, Carl? Carl looks over at me, surprised.
Whoa! Hey, dude. What's up?
He laughs over the last few words. I stare at him. What? Are you okay?
Actually, yeah. I kind of am.
Are you sure? I move over to the opposite bed, my old bed.
Yeah. For the first time all week, actually.
I push myself up onto the bed, which is off the ground a good 3 feet more than than at the university. Dang, that's a high bed, dude. What the heck? My feet dangle over the edge.
Is your ankle okay? I told you to wait. I just needed a minute.
I frown. Seriously? You left me there? In a place with smoke monsters? Carl grimaces.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
What happened? I slide around on the bed to face the ram, noticing that, well, they're tall. They're a lot shorter in length. Short enough that Carl's hooves stick over the edge.
Well, Jenna tried to kill me.
I rub my shoulders, looking away. Yeah, but you know she's not in her right mind right now. We're talking about maybe John.
Oh, it's definitely John. James tried to do the same thing to me.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what it was like. Carl pokes at the wall above his head, tapping it with his finger.
Well, he basically just told me that I needed to find some stuff out. Keep lies from getting out. That he couldn't tell me why.
I wonder what John's telling Jenna. Carl shrugs. I mean, it can't be good if he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Another period of silence. I don't mind it. It kind of feels nice. Not at all like outside where I feel like I was in imminent danger. The only problem right now is that something smells kind of bad, and it's subtle enough that it's not really bothering me.
So,
that is Carl's voice. So, we're at the university, huh?
yep.
Wonder why. You hear the voices out there?
Yeah.
Things go quiet again, and I wonder what the hell Carl might be thinking. He looks ridiculously peaceful. Okay, did you find weed somewhere? Because you're looking as chill as I've ever seen you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Carl scratches his nose.
Well, I guess I've just realized some stuff.
I wait, but he doesn't go on. Like what?
Well, Chase, that I don't need you. We're breaking up.
I frown. What? Carl laughs.
No offense, man, but I realize that I rely on people too much, you know?
I still don't really know. Did something happen?
I guess I always sort of held it against you, with what happened with Clint back in the day.
Oh, the fight?
Yeah. And also some things at college. But then I realized that isn't fair.
He pauses, but I don't say anything.
I realize that I'm really responsible for myself in the end. That I need to help myself.
That's good. I can't help but wonder if now is the best time for this epiphany Carl is having, but it explains the setting we're in right now. Did he do this with his own mind? Is everything we've been through the result of our own imaginations? Carl sits up suddenly, rubbing the bed.
And that I'm sick of feeling like I have to do something important. That I need to be important.
He turns on his butt to face me and spreads out his hands.
Because I'm not. I'm not important at all. I'm a rich-ass, spoiled little shit, and that's about it.
Come on, Carl.
No. It's a good thing. I'm happy because I realize that I'm okay with that.
Carl smirks at me.
I want to go to college, but I want to get an art degree. Then I just want to get some job I can half-ass or halfway stand and play games in my free time.
He stares at me and I stare back. Okay. Carl laughs again.
I know this sounds stupid, but realizing this, it just feels good to feel comfortable in my own skin. I haven't been comfortable for so fucking long.
Oh, that's good to hear. I try to smile for the Ram. But, I mean, we need to get out of here if you're gonna do anything.
Yeah. It's weird that I'm feeling this way right now, but what isn't weird here?
Carl reaches out to the wall again, feeling it carefully.
Anyway, when I said I didn't need you, it sounded fucked up. I still love you, man.
Yeah, I love you too.
But I need to say it out loud, I guess. I don't need anyone to make me feel okay. I just need to be okay with myself. And I guess I am.
I give Carl a weak smile, not sure of what else to say.
Sounds cliche, huh? But it's true.
I mean, I'm just happy that you're okay. You ran away so suddenly.
I had another panic attack. Almost as bad as the one I had here.
Carl points over to the opposite end of the room, at a desk.
I came back from that stupid dance and had a bunch of homework to do for the computer programming class my dad made me take. I don't know, having that bad experience at the dance, then trying to figure out programming I didn't fucking understand, something cracked.
Carl looks over at me.
When I got back home, things were worse than they'd ever been. Then one time I dropped acid and thought I killed you.
I make a face, but Carl waves his hand.
Long story, but then I thought that was a sign that maybe you were the one that was holding me together all the time.
Carl, I had no idea.
Yeah, how were you supposed to know? I didn't say anything. And when you came back to Echo, I thought maybe I could pull myself together with you there.
Carl grins.
Then, after this hellscape thing and Jenna, I just got fed up with it, I guess.
Carl shrugs.
Oh no, I cracked again. It was like I cracked back into place. I just feel okay now. That we're gonna get through this.
I finally kind of chuckle too. Well, I'm happy for you. I really am. Just wish we could actually get back to Echo so you can feel better there. Carl taps his teeth loudly with his fingers, then looks at me.
Dude, I think we are.
Huh? Hmm? I look at him quizzically. Carl runs a hand over the bed again.
I just realized something, looking at this place. Can you see it?
I furrow my brows. See what?
This place seem familiar at all? Because now I'm seeing something completely different.
I squint. No, looks like the dorm, just a super long version of it. Carl smiles.
Nah, man. We're in the diner.
What? But I can't go on because as soon as I see the shape of the diner, the door melts away like a mirage. I'm on a table, and Carl sits across from me on the opposite table. Oh. Oh! Carl's smile stretches into a grin.
I guess we see the truth now.
So, we've been here the whole time. I gasp heavily, leaning on Carl as we make our way up the road toward the mansion.
Looks that way. I think it all happened in my house.
I look around me in the darkness of the night. While the surreal feeling of dreaming is gone, I still feel like I'm in some kind of nightmare. Carl tried his phone the second we realized we were all back, but it was dead. Here outside, no one is around, though we did see a few bodies in the middle of the road. Wait, what?
What the hell is happening? I think everyone's gone crazy.
Carl seems to be mostly talking to himself. I remember seeing Janice running through the street just before everything went to shit, and I'm inclined to think she's right. And I'm inclined to think he's right. Not she. Should we maybe go to Leo's place instead?
I don't know. I kind of want to find Raven and Jenna. Break them out of this first.
I mean, she's still got that knife.
Maybe she's calmed down. Then we can tow them and snap them out of it.
Well, you'd think the others would come and find us or something. The fact that they haven't. Carl grunts in acknowledgement, but doesn't say anything more. Meanwhile, the mansion looms ominously in front of us, and there's no sign of Raven or Jenna in front. There's the tree where we saw the body hanging, thankfully empty. I vaguely wonder if the newspaper clipping that the corpse ate is still there somehow. As Carl half drags me to the driveway, he hesitates.
Listen, maybe you should wait out here. I'll wake up the others. Then I'll grab the keys and we can drive out to Peyton. Get away from all this.
I laugh, despite myself. Yeah, right. After everything we've been through. Besides, I saved your ass when John went after you. I might have to do it again. Carl smirks.
Yeah, all right. But if he comes at us, I want you getting the hell out of here. Get in your car and get to Peyton.
In hindsight, maybe we should have gotten my car from the hotel and left that way instead. Carl shrugs.
I would have come here anyway. I'm more worried about Raven right now.
We're on the steps now, and Carl listens intently, his ears poking up, his long ears poking up. It's dead silent. My heart rate starts to pick up as Carl reaches for the door, imagining John, running out of the darkness, knife in hand. Very slowly, Carl twists the knob and pushes open the door. Thanks to the well-oiled hinges, it makes hardly a sound as it slowly swings open. We're met with darkness aside from a few LEDs from the TV set. Carl leans close to my ear.
At least the power's still on. I'm gonna try the landline first.
I nod as Carl and I step over the foundation and into the house. I'm happy to see that Carl's kitchen looks just like Carl's kitchen. Despite the terrifying atmosphere, there's a relief that comes with knowing that we've broken free of the nightmare, whatever that was. Just then a distant pop echoes from the town. We both looked back for a moment, and I remember the sound I heard while running through Pueblo. Had someone shot at me? I don't have long to dwell on that as Carl tugs me into the kitchen, purposefully leaving the door open behind us. He's probably more worried about what might be in the house rather than what's far away in the town. The ram reaches for the light, then thinks better of it. He leaves me to lean against the counter before moving to the phone. I look around, noticing that the table is set with a few plates with what looks like squares of drywall on them. In fact, the whole table is covered in dust, and that probably came from the crawl space. I frown at that before noticing a clear cup on the counter full of some kind of yellow liquid. At the same time, I see a piece of paper lying next to me, standing out on the spotless counter. I reach out, pressing a hand over it and feeling the smooth piece of paper, its size and shape familiar. I pick it up, looking around for a light source before seeing the fridge and hopping over to it.
Line's dead. But what are you doing, dude?
I open the fridge, letting the dim yellow light spill out. I hold up the paper, which seems to be a copy of a newspaper clipping. This is the photocopy from the cabin. I whisper loudly. Masetta boy missing. Native settler tensions rise. Fifth native boy goes missing in 2 years. Native chief says disappearances did not happen until settlers arrived. James Hendricks has been confined in the county jail pending further evidence. I look up at Carl. Wait. So was it James that was kidnapping children? Carl shrugs at me.
I don't really know, man. And I don't think it matters right now.
You did have a point considering we weren't trapped in a nightmare anymore, though I still feel like something is missing. Yeah, you're right. I fold up and shove the piece of paper into my pocket anyway.
So, the phone's dead. I think we should just grab the keys and...
Carl's ears prick up. I'd do the same with mine if I could.
You hear that?
No? Carl moves to the stairs.
Stay here. I'll be right back.
I shout whisper.
What?
I'll be right back. I think I hear Raven.
I bite my lip. This new boost of confidence that Carl's gotten is great and all, but his hero complex is about to get him killed. I follow the ram to the top of the stairs, watching him about to start down before jabbing him in the back with my knuckles. I look back into the almost as dark kitchen before making up my mind and hopping down the stairs after the ram. He jumps.
Holy shit! You scared the hell out of me.
Carl also shout whispers. Well, fuck you for thinking of leaving me up here. I told you outside we're sticking together.
Okay, just hold on to my shirt or something.
Okay. With that, Carl starts making his way down the stairs with me limping behind. Slowly but surely, I start to hear something too. It's muffled and quiet and sounds very much like a voice. The voice is calm and reasonable, and I'm pretty sure it's Raven's. Carl stops next to a door on our left where the voice seems to be coming from. Wait, maybe I should open it? If Jenna's in there, it's not like she's going after me, right? Carl seems to hesitate in the darkness.
I don't know, man.
Don't worry. You'll be right next to me, right? There's a moment of silence again before Carl shifts next to me to the side of the door.
All right, but get behind me if she goes after you.
I nod as well, even if he can't see me. I take a breath, steeling myself for what might be behind the door. Slowly, I push it open. It's also dark in this room, the weight room, I realize. The talking stops immediately before it turns into a whine.
Oh my god! The door opened by itself! This is insane!
I feel for the light switch next to the door and flip it on. There sits Raven, tied up to a weight machine with what looks like several pieces of clothing. A few pieces of cloth sit on his lap and on the ground. The husky is staring right at me, but there's no sign of recognition in his face. There's no sign of Jenna either, thank God. Raven?
Oh god! It knows my name!
Raven starts writhing around in his bonds.
Master Ghost Thing, what do you want? Do you want money? Honestly, I don't have very much money at all. I work at the mall.
Carl pokes his head in, too.
Hey, Raven, can you hear me?
Raven keeps babbling on about his job. Carl frowns and shifts past me into the room. I stand in the doorway, looking back into the hall, but only seeing darkness. Raven is still chattering when Carl reaches out, resting a hand on his shoulder. The shriek that Raven lets out makes my fur stand on end.
Oh my god! Oh my god! No, 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 no!
Shh! Shut up!
Carl presses a hand into the husky's mouth, muffling his nose. Just a bit. That's when Raven's eyes widen.
Oh! Whoa! Hey, Carl.
He stares around, wide-eyed.
Well, where am I?
In my house. In my weight room. Are you okay?
The husky looks at Carl again.
What? How?
Carl shrugs.
We have no idea.
I look back into the hallway and make sure Jenna isn't coming after all that shrieking, but then look back at the other two. So it's just that easy? We just had to touch him? Carl turns to me.
I guess it's like it really is just a dream or something.
Hey, Chase.
Raven is craning his head around Carl now. Hey, Raven. Raven stares around the room again.
Well, you know, just a second ago, I was in a really fancy-looking bedroom. It had a bed with curtains on it and stuff.
Raven, how'd you get tied up?
Oh, Jenna, of course. Actually, she calmed down a bit. I brought her into the house, but then she punched me.
Carl sets to untying the husky while Raven rubs the back of his head against the weight machine.
And I found down the stairs. She dragged me into this room and tied me up.
Raven smiles sheepishly.
Honestly, I probably could have fought her off. But facing a tiny, maybe a serial killer girl with a knife is kind of scary. So I just kind of did what she did, what she told me.
That's okay. Do you, know where she is right now? I glance back into the hallway. Still nothing.
No. She went back out. She did come back like 10 minutes ago, though shoved these papers into my face.
Raven points at the papers in his lap and on the ground with a freed hand. Carl starts getting on untying the binds around his legs.
Said something about these being the real letters, the truth, or whatever.
I limp into the room partly because I don't want to get caught by Jenna if she suddenly comes in, and also because I want to look at those 2 letters. They're short. One of them is about a paragraph. The other is only a few words. Because it's a second nature now, I pick up the longer one and read it aloud. I don't know what to say after finding your dungeon. No, there are no other words for it, James. It's a dungeon. And after finding the boy's body, finding out what you've done to it, there truly are no words, James. I only know now why you were never satisfied with me. All of your sweet words have turned to poison. I'm leaving you to the law and leaving this wretched town behind. I only hope that God has no mercy on your soul. I pick up the other letter, placing it over the first. You are disgusting. I don't have James' letters, so I have no idea what John was responding to. I also don't know who to believe anymore. James or John or James, or even the thing that they were talking about could alter the notes left around in that dreamscape. There's no way I can even begin to piece it together. Who was manipulating what? And maybe because I'm in the real world now, and this is certainly real, this could be the actual truth. I also noticed the collection of dust on these photocopy pages. Taken from the scrapbook and stashed somewhere, probably the crawlspace considering the state they're in. Is Jenna in the crawlspace right now searching for letters? Raven finally pulls his feet out of the ropes, rubbing his arms. He nods at me.
Said she wrote that one in jail after James had written to him? I gotta say, since that whole knives thing, seems like she doesn't know who she is.
I fold up the letters, putting them in my pocket with the news article.
I mean, she keeps going on about James and letters.
Did she say anything else about the letters? Raven frowns, looking at the ceiling.
She said something about not being able to finish the game because one of them burned and the other got, eaten.
I put a hand on my pocket. Well, I found the one that burned on the counter upstairs. I don't think it burned, we just saw it burn. I think the tree outside in the front of the house. But Carl shakes his head.
Doesn't really matter now that we're free of this shit. Let's find the keys and get the hell out of here.
Carl starts on the last restraints around Raven's ankles. I get up and limp to the doorway again, looking out toward the crawlspace. In that moment, I hear a whisper of movement down the hall. I limp out a bit more, watching his 2 tall ears slowly materialize out of the darkness. For a moment, I see a young male fox in overalls in front of me. But that imagery dissolves as Jenna is slowly lit up by the light coming from the weight room. She's covered in dust from the crawlspace. I'm startled, but I'm not scared because I know she can't see me. At least, she shouldn't be able to see me, but her piercing eyes are right on me. She can see me. Maybe it's the fact that it's not Jenna at all. Maybe it's because she's completely possessed and it's John looking through her eyes. Whatever it is, she can see me, that's clear, because she immediately raises the knife and bares her teeth at me. I don't want the others getting caught by her, especially with Raven tied up like that. I need to give Carl or I a chance to attack from behind, depending on if she goes for me or takes a turn into the weight room. She's coming! I turn back out into the hall and away from Jenna, hoping to give one of us the advantage. But she's coming so fast. Otter, you're in on it with James, huh? Her voice, deep, rough and deep, unlike anything I've heard from Jenna before. I realize then that there's no waking Jenna up from this. It's not Jenna anymore, and John sure as hell isn't waking up. John lunges and I turn and run. The fox doesn't even glance into the weight room as he comes for me. I limp and leap through darkness, left hand stretched out, desperately feeling for the end of the wall that will signify the stairs. I hear the fox breathing behind me, bumping into the walls. Finally, my hand falls through nothing and I turn sharply to run up the stairs. As I stumble upwards, I start to wonder what the hell I'm going to do. Well, I could try and go for the bathroom, lock the door. That doesn't exactly help out Carl. I can't stop thinking about the newspaper clipping that John's hanging corpse ate. If I can get that, get all the pieces that it wants us to get, then maybe I can end whatever this is. My thoughts are interrupted as something cold goes down my back, followed by an even colder pain just to the right of my spine. I gasp as if I'd fallen into water, but continue upwards. I can hear Carl shouting, too, at the base of the stairs. There's too much distance between me and him for the ram to be of any help. As I reach the top of the stairs, there's a loud thwunk sound to the left of my head just as I stumble into the kitchen. I quickly glance over my shoulder and I see John yanking the knife from the wall. It's close. Almost sobbing now, I jump limp my way to the front door, hearing John scream curses at me from behind. While I want to help Carl right now, I also don't want him to catch up. I don't want John turning on him. I struggle with the door for a moment, for some reason trying to push on it rather than pull. It's only a few seconds, but enough for John to gain on me and swing the knife again as I pull open the door. I scream and duck, hearing the metal clang against the door hinge. I lunge forward, out the door and into the cool of the early morning. The sky is a soft blue as dawn breaks. I limp as fast as I can down the steps, down the driveway, toward the slope past the road, but John catches me again as I'm on the road. This time he grabs my shirt, holding on to me. I turn to face him as he draws the knife back for another swing. Ugh. But at that moment, we go over the slope. Even in my adrenaline-fueled state, the fall is painful, and each time I roll I can feel the stab of rocks sticking into my skin. The final bounce is punctuated by a blinding pain in my forehead as it collides with a small boulder. I shakily get to my feet, looking left and right for the tree, panicked until I realize it's right in front of me. I stumble right into it, clinging to it. I scan the dirt, but there's nothing, no paper at all. Jenna's getting up, just 5 feet away. I can see blood oozing through several scratches on his body. The knife is still in his hand, and he zeroes in on me again. I cower and move behind the tree, my plan ruined. And that's when my face comes level with a hollow in the tree. Automatically I reach in, feeling around, feeling mostly cobwebs and twigs before Carl appears at the top of the slope.
Hey! Stop!
John whirls around, knife raised as he immediately moves in the other direction. You! My hand finds the corner of a piece of paper and I pull out the newspaper clipping. I scan over it. It's another quote from Carl's mother. I begin to read, my voice cracking as I manage a shout. But I was able to open a lockbox kept by James himself. It was full of gel letters between him and John. John freezes in his steps, knife still raised, looking up at Carl. I don't want to sully the Hendricks name, but if what John said is true, James framed him of the most heinous crime in Echo's history. In the meantime, Carl stumbles down the slope, moving carefully around the fox to stand next to me. I reach into my pocket and pull out the other pieces of paper. I hold them up. John, we know the truth. I'm going to tell everyone in my documentary, okay? I'm a journalist, a reporter. We see the truth. John turns towards me now, knife slowly lowering. And just like that, it's not John anymore. It's Jenna. The knife clatters to the rocks. Carl reaches out to hold me and I collapse against him, everything numb. Jenna's hands go to her mouth, staring at the knife, staring at me and Carl before she screams. In the distance I can hear sirens. Is history subjective in nature? The story of James and John sure seems to be. We all have a few written letters, and from these we must try to draw some sort of conclusion. In the end, it can't really be said what exactly happened almost 150 years ago. Instead, we can only provide the facts. Several native children went missing. James was accused of the crime before claiming that his secret lover, John, was the culprit. In his jail letters, Jonathan claims that he was framed by James. Because of the vigilante justice dealt out by the town, John never had a trial, and no record of evidence collected still exists. James, because of his influence, was allowed to leave the town and live hundreds of miles away on the west coast where he eventually died. He never wrote of the incident again. Many believe that, as journalists, we're supposed to be unbiased and only state facts. That's not exactly true, as long as it's clear that we're stating an opinion. So I'd like to do that now. It is my opinion that John is innocent. We should be presumed innocent until proven guilty, after all, and Jonathan has never even had that chance. According to accounts written by other townspeople, James was a deceitful and emotionally manipulative man. There are many accounts of his prejudices against the native people. In the end, the records that exist of John give us no reason to disbelieve him, while James has given us every reason to doubt him. But because time is evidence's worst enemy, it has been 150 years, the definitive answer will likely never be known. Much of Echo, the story is lost to time. I am Chase Hunter at Pueblo University, and this has been a special report on the town of Echo. I look over the report again, my eyes stinging from staring at the monitor for too long. I'm a terrible writer, and the words of the script seem so clumsy. I shrug and decide I'll have time tomorrow to polish it up a bit. It's weird, writing the last word to a script I started almost 1.5 years ago. It's changed a lot since then, moving from a focus on hysteria to an old mansion mystery. My mind wanders back to that spring break in Echo. I still shake my head when I think about it, how it completely shattered my view on reality, my view on life. Of course, I couldn't come back to school right afterwards. I hadn't finished my project after all. Actually, I needed therapy. We all did. Except Carl. He seemed to have come out of it better than he had been going into it, somehow. Everyone handles trauma differently, Jenna would say. In fact, she has a lot of things to say about what happened. While she didn't come out quite as unscathed as Carl, she's still tougher than me, and actually went right back to school that summer. Now she's at Weston, and a lot of her research is focused on, let's butcher this, folie à deux, or shared psychosis. Because of how everything went down, the things we felt and what we saw, Jenna's convinced that that's what took place. She brought up the way we primed each other to hear and see things. The way we saw things didn't seem to have any rhythm or any rhyme or reason for what they were. While I do believe a lot of what we saw came from ourselves, I'm not fully convinced that it explains all of it. Mainly because the rest of the townspeople went through their own nightmare that night. I still can't believe the things that Leo and TJ went through. Still, I'm glad she can find a way to explain it to herself. She told me over the phone just last week that she hasn't forgiven herself. That she should have been stronger than that. I've told her over and over that it's not her fault. But I guess after coming to with a knife in her hand and her friend stabbed, it left an impression. I rest my hand on a thick scar through my shirt that runs all the way down my back and wiggle the ankle that caused me a permanent limp. Still, this whole incident, it actually brought us closer. At least, Jenna, Carl, and I. Hell, even Raven. It's still painful to think about how Flynn, Leo, and TJ, poor TJ, aren't really talking anymore. I guess it's the fact that we went through completely different things during the incident. Of course, we told the police that it was someone else that had stabbed me while the town descended into madness. Echo, a name now famous worldwide after the mass hysteria incident that truly brought a dying city to its ultimate end. At least in terms of being a failed town. While no one really lives there now, it's certainly become a tourist attraction. Countless news reports, TV shows, and paranormal investigators descended on the area. Especially once the news story changed from spree killings leave 9 dead to whole town went nuts. Luckily, not a lot of focus fell on us since we weren't exactly living in Echo anymore. We just got into the ambulances and left. Carl, on the other hand, along with the rest of his family, are still harassed by the media. Carl's mom, Trisha, is a pro at handling the media, though. I still wonder about what exactly it was that stopped her from publishing all her findings. I'll have to ask her sometime, considering I'm practically family due to how much I visit with Carl. In the end, the relationship that I had with Carl in the dreamscape didn't exactly survive in the real world. Carl told me that he didn't know where he ended and James began, even when he rejected James's influence. We couldn't really trust anything that happened there. But still, he's my best friend, and I plan to spend the summer over at his house when I start my next project on Echo. Yeah, I realize that there are a lot more stories to cover over there, and I plan to uncover them. It's almost healing going back now without any fear. My own little therapy. Guess I'll always end up back there eventually. The sound of clops to my right makes me look up just as a bulky ram fills the frame of the doorway. Carl leans against it, rolling his eyes.
Dude, you told me you were gonna work on that tomorrow.
I smile and rest my chin in my palm. Was just giving it a quick once-over before we film.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, I'm going for some pizza. You coming?
I'm not really hungry, but taking my mind off Echo for just a little bit sounds good. Carl always cheers me up anyway. I nod over at the corner of our dorm room where Carl's papier-mâché sculpture of a tortured-looking bird sits. Don't you have to finish that thing by tomorrow? Carl shrugs.
I got like 3 energy drinks in the fridge. I'll be good. Come on, let's get going. I want to meet Caitlin there too.
I get up slowly, stretching out my back. Oh, I see. So I'm just your wingman. Carl smirks.
It's not like that, dude. I just like hanging out with her. Now let's go.
Carl hangs on the frame, starting to swing himself out into the hall. Hey, Carl? Carl rebounds back into the room, leaning in towards me.
Yo.
Thanks for being my friend. I don't know if it was all the reminiscing about what happened the spring before last, or if I'm still not over what happened, but Carl seems to understand. He smiles and reaches out a big hand toward me, which I grasp.
Of course, man. And if you ever need to talk or something, I'm here. Do you want to talk right now?
I shake my head quickly. Nah, I'm good. Just wanted to say it. Carl smiles.
Well, thanks for saying it. Now let's go.
Carl again swings on the frame out into the hall. There's some loud clapping before I hear him shouting at someone and giving them what sounds like a high five. I smile to myself as I look at the document on the screen one last time, before closing the laptop and following Carl out into the hallway. There it is. That's the end. Wow. That's a nice ending. So, I was asked in the comments on one of my videos to kind of react to the ending of Echo. And really, what is there to say, you know? It's really awesome little story. I mean, this is a really good start to the entire series. The entire Echo story itself is just incredible. But this really is a good starting point. Because it gives you an idea of exactly what is happening. And you're kind of in the thick of it. You know, from a certain perspective. I mean, you're kind of outside of it with Carl's route, but in a certain way, you're really deep in the middle of it, because you go deep into all the mental crap that they had to go through, all the mental stuff. I shouldn't call it crap. All the mental stuff that they had to go through, being in the hysteria dealing with James and John, whatever that evil entity is. So, yeah. So what else could I say about it? It's really an emotional journey, for real. Because Chase has to deal with Carl. And Carl's got a lot of, baggage to unpack in the story. And it looks like by the end, he's actually unpacked it pretty well. And coming out, it really challenged him. And if you've never been challenged like that, then, if you've never kind of struggled all day at a job or at a process that's really hard, and then finally came out and just felt like, you're, a little more confident in yourself and almost couldn't believe you had actually, finished it, then yeah, it is like that. I've had jobs like that just challenge you. So I can see where Carl comes out ahead, because it is like that. You get challenged and you actually get through and you feel more confident. So that's definitely where Carl's coming from. And I think it was a really good experience for Chase too. Seeing like his story wrapped up the same way. You're not going to hear too much about Raven, but since, going off of what happened with Jenna and her emphasis on not clinical, or I guess not clinical, not counseling psychology, it really makes sense. It really helped determine her life choices. So, yeah. But this is a really good start, and I'm looking forward to reading the other ones for the channel, because I know there are some fascinating characters and there are some terrifying characters, including a really big nasty bear. I'm looking forward to voicing and reading. And thanks for all the feedback. I look forward to more. So thank you everyone for watching or listening, or both. You kind of have to do both, don't you? Don't just put it on mute. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.